Today I am going to talk about the cholesterol cycle and function of cholesterol. So first, what is the objective of this cholesterol topic? There is a first point, what is the biological role for cholesterol. Next, understand the cholesterol metabolism, that is the de novo synthesis of cholesterol. Describe the cell, regulate the activity, HMG coenzyme reductase. This is the regulatory enzyme of cholesterol biosynthesis to control the synthesis of metabolism. Describe how cell take up and process dietary cholesterol and understand the role of good cholesterol LDL and bad cholesterol LDL and good cholesterol HDL. So what is the cholesterol? Cholesterol is the derivatives of cyclic hydrocarbon ring, that is called cyclopentanoperhydrophenanthrin. This is the called steroids nucleus, and cholesterol is found principally in animals and humans, where it is also the main sterol. Cholesterol is the amphipathic nature, therefore it becomes an essential structural component of cellular organelles and outer layer of plasma membranes. Now, cholesterol is the sterol because it's a sterols and alcohol at the same time. Cholesterol is a solid alcohol of high molecular weights, and much of the plasma cholesterol is a esterified form. So cholesterol is mainly present in our body, that is a ester form of the cholesterol. Now, what is the structure of cholesterol? So already I told you that there is a one ring that is called steroids ring, that is a cyclopentanoperhydrophenanthrin. So there is a 27 carbon atoms, one hydroxyl group at the third position. I can show you this diagram. This is the diagram. This is the diagram of cholesterol. So one hydroxyl group at the carbon number third. This is the double bond present between the 5 and 6, and branching start at the carbon number 17. And methyl side chain, there is the 19 number and 18 number is called methyl side chain, that start from the carbon number 10 and carbon number 13. So this is the steroids nucleus and having the branch chain, that is the hydrocarbon tail. So this is the complete structure of the cholesterol, and molecular formula is the C27H46O. And cholesterol always present as a ester form of the cholesterol. And here you can see that is the A, B and C. These are the hexagonal, and D is the pentagonal ring. Now next one is what is the source of cholesterol? So there is the diet source, one cycle, that is a de novo synthesis, and from the hydrolysis of cholesterol ester. So these are the source of cholesterol. More than half of the cholesterol of the body arises by the synthesis, by the de novo synthesis, almost 700 milligram per day, and the remaining that is provided by the average diets. The liver and intestine account for approximately 10% each of the total synthesis in the human. All the tissue containing generally nucleated cells are capable of cholesterol biosynthesis, which occur in the endoplasmic reticulums and the cytosols. Now, what is the more important biochemical function of cholesterol? So that is the most abundant sterol in the human. Major constituents of plasma membrane and the plasma lipoproteins, like your LDL, HDL, VLDL, these are the lipoprotein. It is a precursor of bile salts, that is also precursor for steroid hormone like adrenocortical hormone, sex hormone, placental hormones, and that is also important for precursor for active form of vitamin D, that is the cholecalciferol. It is required for the nerve transmission. Cholesterol is a major constituent of the gallstones and has chief role in the pathologic process as a factor in the genesis of atherosclerosis of vital arteries, causing the cerebrovascular disease, coronary artery disease, peripheral vascular disease. Now, what is the normal range of cholesterol? So normal range of serum blood cholesterol, that is a 150 to 200 milligram per deciliter, and borderline range is generally that is a 200 to 239 milligram per deciliter, and above this value means more than 240 milligram per deciliter, that is a high risk value for the patients. Now, what is the cholesterol biosynthesis? So we will discuss about this cycle. And substrate for cholesterol biosynthesis generally, that is the acetyl coenzyme A, and source of acetyl coenzyme A is the pyruvates, oxidation of fatty acids and degradation of amino acids. So excess of fatty acids break down into acetyl coenzyme A. Site of cholesterol biosynthesis: liver, intestine, skin, adrenal cortex, gonads, neural tissue, placenta. And nature of this cycle is the anabolic, that is the synthesis of molecules. Compartments: location of this cycle, that is the cytoplasm. And regulatory enzyme of cholesterol biosynthesis is the HMG coenzyme A reductase, that is a beta hydroxy beta methyl gluteryl coenzyme A. Now next one is there is a 5 stage for cholesterol biosynthesis. First, that is the HMG coenzyme A synthesis. Next, formation of mevalonate. Further, production of isoprenoids units. Next, fourth stage is the synthesis of squalene, and finally squalene is converted to cholesterol. So these are the stage of the cholesterol biosynthesis. Now cycle is this. So we will talk about one by one reaction. 2 molecules of acetyl coenzyme A condense and produce the acetoacetyl coenzyme A. This reaction is catalyzed by the thiolase enzyme, and another molecule of acetyl coenzyme A react acetoacetyl coenzyme A and produce the HMG coenzyme A or beta hydroxy beta methyl gluteryl coenzyme A. And this reaction is catalyzed by the HMG coenzyme A synthase. And this is same like the ketogenesis cycle. Now next phase is the HMG coenzyme reductase that converts HMG coenzyme A into mevalonate, and this stage or this is the regulatory enzyme of cholesterol biosynthesis. Further, mevalonate is converted to mevalonate 5-phosphates in the presence of enzyme kinase. Further, mevalonate 5-phosphates phosphorylize and produce the mevalonate 3,5-pyrophosphates, and in the presence of enzyme kinase. Complete name is the phosphomevalonates. And finally, mevalonate now mevalonate 5-pyrophosphates by the decarboxylation process produce the first isopentyl units, first isoprenoid units, that is called isopentyl pyrophosphate. So this is the first isoprenoid units. Now we are talking about the synthesis of isoprenoid units, and this first isoprenoid unit is contain the 5 carbon. Now IPP isomerized into DPP, that is the second isopentyl units, that is a dimethyl pyrophosphates, and both are 5 carbon units. Now IPP and DPP condense and produce the 10 carbon isoprenoid units, that is called GPP or gencyl pyrophosphates. Now last isoprenoid unit is called funcsyl pyrophosphates. So this IPP first isoprenoid unit transfer into GPP or gencyl pyrophosphates and produce the 15 number carbon isoprenoid units, that is called funcsyl pyrophosphates. Clear? So this is the synthesis of isoprenoid units. Now now we are talking about the synthesis of squalene. So 2 molecule of this your funcsyl pyrophosphates converted into squalene, that is a 13 number carbon, and this reaction is catalyzed by the squalene synthase enzyme. And squalene further converted to lanosterol in the presence of epoxide enzyme, and which further converted different types of intermediates like gymosterol, cholesterol, dinosterol, and demosterol further reduced into cholesterol, that is a 27 carbon reaction. So this is the complete cholesterol biosynthesis. Now next one is what is the this is the all reactions. Now after that, what is the regulation of cholesterol biosynthesis? So regulatory enzyme of cholesterol biosynthesis is the HMG coenzyme reductase. This is the only single enzyme which regulates the cholesterol biosynthesis. So there is the regulatory phase. First one is the competitive inhibition by drugs, that is the statin drugs. Feedback inhibition by the cholesterol itself. Covalent modification, there is a role of insulin, there is a role of glucagon, thyroxine, another hormones. What is another factors which affect the cholesterol biosynthesis? Nutritional states, fasting decrease but well-fed condition generally increase the regulatory enzyme. Dietary intake of cholesterol decrease the enzyme activity and endogenous synthesis, and vice versa. So this is detail first. Now we have to come detail one by one. First, competitive inhibition of cholesterol regulation. So statin like lovastatin or myostatin, atorvastatin, that these are the drugs which are the reversible competitive inhibitor. These are the drugs which inhibit the cholesterol biosynthesis. They are used to decrease the plasma cholesterol level in patients of the hypercholesterolemia, means more than 200 milligram per deciliter. That case or that patient is suffering from the hypercholesterolemia disorder. So these are the drugs which inhibit the regulatory enzyme of cholesterol, that is HMG coenzyme reductase. Now feedback inhibition. So HMG coenzyme reductase, that is inhibited by mevalonate, that is also inhibited by cholesterol, and in product this is the cholesterol control its own synthesis by inhibiting the HMG coenzyme reductase. Mevalonate is the immediate products of HMG coenzyme reductase catalyzed reaction, where as cholesterol is the ultimate product of the reaction pathway. Next, what is the covalent modification, role of hormone? So phosphorylation decreases the activity of reductase enzyme, and glucagon hormones favor the formation of inactive or favor the formation of phosphorylated form of the reductase enzyme. Hence that decrease the rate of cholesterol biosynthesis, and glucocorticoids also inhibit that regulatory enzymes. Another side we can see, that is the insulin that favor the formation of active form of HMG coenzyme reductase or dephosphorylated form, and that increase the rate of this biosynthesis. Thyroid hormones also stimulate the HMG coenzyme reductase, and that's why that enhance the synthesis. Cholesterol synthesis generally cases when ATP level is the low. Now regulation of cholesterol biosynthesis we can see here. These are the insulin hormones, on the other side glucagon, glucocorticoids. They phosphorylated the HMG coenzyme reductase and inhibit this biosynthesis, and insulin thyroxine that dephosphorylated the HMG coenzyme reductase and enhance this biosynthesis of cholesterol. Now what is another importance? So cholesterol is a major sterol in the animals, and cholesterol present in the tissue and in plasma either as a free cholesterol or the storage form combined with the long chain fatty acid, that is a cholesterol ester. In plasma both forms are transported in lipoproteins, and LDL, this is called bad cholesterol, that is the uptake of cholesterol and cholesterol ester into many tissue. Free cholesterol is removed from the tissue by plasma high density lipoprotein. HDL is called good cholesterol, and that transported to liver, where it is eliminated from the body either unchanged or after conversion to bile acid in the process known as a reverse cholesterol transport. So HDL, this HDL is called good cholesterol because that protects the heart disease and that role as a reverse cholesterol transport, and LDL is called bad cholesterol because that causes the coronary heart disease or myocardial infarction disease. Now next one is what is the degradation of cholesterol. So that help for the synthesis of bile acids like primary bile acids. They are formed in the liver from cholesterol, and they include cholic acids, chenodeoxycholic acids. Secondary bile acids, they are formed of primary bile acids in large intestine. Example of secondary bile acids, deoxycholic acids and lithocholic acids. Now bile salts, they are formed of conjugation of cholic acids with glycine amino acids and taurine. Generally that is a 20%, glycine is a main, that is a 80%. Then they are excreted by liver in the bile as sodium glycocholates or sodium taurocholates. Bile salt pass to the intestine where they are reabsorbed and return back to the liver to be excreted again in a bile, that is called intrahepatic circulation. So now this is the one diagram. Cholesterol is converted to 7-hydroxycholesterol. Further by different types of intermediate that produce the cholic acids. Another side that converted into chenodeoxycholic acids. And cholic acid associated with glycine and taurine and produce respective glycocholic acid and taurocholic acids. And these glycocholic acid and taurocholic acid by intestinal bacteria converted into deoxycholic acids. Another side chenodeoxycholic acids that converted into chenodeoxycholic acids in the presence of taurine or glycine, and further converted to lithocholic, that is the secondary bile acids. So these are the secondary bile acids. Now next one is the synthesis of vitamin D. So cholesterol is converted to 7-dehydrocholesterol in the presence of UV lights, and that 7-dehydrocholesterol in the presence of UV lights converted to cholecalciferol. Further in the liver that produce the 25 cholecalciferol, and in the kidney that produce the active form of vitamin D, that is called 125 dihydrocholecalciferol. Now, what is the function of bile salts? So, that important for the emulsification of lipids during the digestion, help in the digestion of the other food stuff, that important for the activation of pancreatic lipase enzyme. This bile salt also important for the digestion and absorption of fat soluble vitamins like A, D, E, K. Now, they prevent the precipitation of the cholesterol in the bile as a cholesterol stone. Intestinal antiseptics that prevent the putrefaction, that is the decomposition of organic matter. They stimulate liver cells to secrete the more bile, that is the collateral effects. And bile salt generally, that is important for the conversion of cholesterol to bile. Bile salt is important mechanism for the removal of excess cholesterol from the bile blood. So these are the function of the bile acids. Now, what is the transport of cholesterol in the blood? So being lipid, it is insoluble in the water. Cholesterol is generally complex with protein to form the lipoproteins, lipid associated with the protein. And protein part is the apolipoprotein. So there is a different type of apolipoprotein like apoprotein A, apoprotein E, apoprotein B. These are the different type of apolipoproteins. LACT, that is a lectin cholesterol acetyltransferase, is responsible for transport and elimination of cholesterol from the body. So that is the transport of cholesterol from the bloods. Now, what is the clinical significance of cholesterol? So one disease, that is atherosclerosis, that is referred to the buildup of fats, buildup of cholesterol and other substance in our artery walls, and that causes the develop of plaque which can restrict blood flow. The plaque can burst generally and taking a blood clots. Myocardial infarction, that is a heart attack, that is the serious result of coronary artery disease. Coronary artery disease occurs from the atherosclerosis, when arteries become narrow or hardness due to the cholesterol plaque buildup. Now, further atherosclerosis generally deposition of bad cholesterol, that is the LDL, and generally oxidized LDL is the generally subintestinal arteries is the causes atherosclerosis are taken by the macrophage or scavengers. Starting events in the atherosclerosis leading to the myocardial infarction. LDL cholesterol is deposited in the tissue, and that's why this is called bad cholesterol, because that causes the myocardial infarction. Now, the hallmark of atherosclerosis plaque are the foam cells. Generally, LDL degraded by macrophage get overloaded with the cholesterol. What is the progression of atherosclerosis? Generally, atherosclerotic plaque lead to the narrowing of vessel wall when proliferative changes occur. Fibrous proliferation is due to the liberation of growth factors by macrophage and platelets. Now, risk factor for atherosclerosis disorder, first is the cholesterol level. So more than 200 milligram per deciliter, that is the higher value, and normal cholesterol level is the generally 150 to 200 milligram per deciliter. So value high risk, that is the more than 240 milligram per deciliter, and up to 239, that is the borderline. So above this value, that need active treatments. LDL cholesterol normal range under the 130 milligram per deciliter, above 160 milligram per deciliter, that is high sides. So these are the risk factor of the atherosclerosis. Now HDL, this is the good cholesterol. This is inversely related to myocardial infarction and it's generally anti-atherogenic, and above 65 milligram per deciliter, that protect the cardiac disease, and below the 40 milligram per deciliter, that is the showing the high risk of the coronary artery disease. Total cholesterol generally and ratio HDL cholesterol is less than 3.5, that is a dangerous. LDL ratio HDL if less than more than 2.5, generally that is the also dangerous. So this is the total cholesterol ratio HDL cholesterol more than 3.5 and LDL ratio HDL more than 2.5, both are the dangers. Apoprotein levels, apoprotein B ratio, apoprotein A1 is more reliable, and 0.4 is the good, but more 1.4, that is the risk of coronary artery disease. Now lipoprotein lipase enzyme that inhibit the fibrinolysis, and more than 30 milligram per deciliter, that causes the increase the chance of atherosclerosis disease. Another factors is smoking, nicotinamides, then nicotine generally causes the lipolysis, and increase the acetyl coenzyme and cholesterol synthesis also cause the constriction of the arteries. So these are the factors which affect the atherosclerosis. Next, hypertension. If systolic blood pressure is more than 160, that showing the risk of coronary artery disease. Diabetes mellitus. What is the effect of diabetes mellitus in the atherosclerosis? Absence of insulin activates the lipase, so production of acetyl coenzyme A and finally cholesterol synthesis. Serum triglycerols, this is the simple fats, this is the storage form of lipids, normal level generally that is the range between 50 to 150 milligram per deciliter. Higher sides means hypertriglyceridemia that causes the atherosclerosis disease. Now another factors, obesity and sedentary life, prevention of atherosclerosis generally. We must maintain our BMI level properly, that is the range between 18.5 to 24.9, that is the normal range of BMI. Now reduction of dietary cholesterol level, so egg yolk, meat, high cholesterol level, they generally help for the reduce the cholesterol level. Vegetable oils and polyunsaturated fatty acids. Polyunsaturated fatty acid is good for our health, and that polyunsaturated fatty acid means like omega-3 fatty acid that in present in the fish oil that decrease the bad cholesterol and enhance the HDL or good cholesterol. Now moderation in fat intake, so 20 to 25 gram of oil and 2 to 3 gram of polyunsaturated fatty acids per day. Generally that is the recommended. Green leafy vegetables, high fiber contents, more bowel motility and reduce the reabsorption of bile salts. Generally plant sterol, generally cetosterol, this is the plant sterol, decrease the cholesterol absorption and avoid generally sucrose and avoid smoking. Next one is the exercise. So moderates exercise generally lower the LDL and enhance the good cholesterol. Hypolipidemic drugs like atorvastatin, lovastatin, these are the drugs which inhibit the HMG coenzyme reductase. Hypolipidemic drugs generally that is inhibitor of the HMG coenzyme reductase. Another sides, cholecystramine and cholestyramine, that is the bile salt binding drug and promote the synthesis of bile salt and LDL uptake by liver. Clofibrates that increase the activity of lipoprotein lipase. Another factor that is the antioxidants decrease the oxidation of LDL and that vitamin E, that is antioxidant, vitamin C that act as antioxidant. So these are the inhibit the cholesterol level. Now what is the hypercholesterolemia? So normal range between 150 to 200 milligram per deciliter, and hypercholesterolemia that is the high serum cholesterol level in our bloods. So what is the causes of hypercholesterolemia? First very important cause, that is the diabetes mellitus, means hyperglycemia. If value is more than 100 milligram per deciliter, that is condition is called hyperglycemia. So because 70 to 100 milligram per deciliter fasting condition is the normal range. Now nephrotic syndrome, obstructive jaundice, familial hypercholesterolemia, biliary cirrhosis, hypothyroidism, these are the causes, these are the factors which causes the hypercholesterolemia. Now second is the hypocholesterolemia, that is a decrease the blood cholesterol level. And what is the causes of decrease the blood cholesterol level? Hyperthyroidism, malnutrition, malabsorption, anemia, mainly pernicious anemia. Physiologically lower level are found in the children and person on cholesterol lowering drugs. So these are the factors of the hypocholesterolemia. Okay, thank you very much. So what is the aim for next experiments? That is to determine the blood glucose by one method that is called GOD-POD method. So this is the aim for today's experiments. So what is the principle, what is the procedure, what is the reagents required for this experiment, and how can calculate the blood glucose level by this method, and we will discuss today. So first now come to the points, that is the principle. What is the principle of this GOD-POD method? That is the D-glucose. Glucose is the monosaccharides. Glucose is oxidized in the presence of enzyme GOD, that is the glucose oxidase, and produce gluconic acids and hydrogen peroxides. So first we require the enzyme GOD. After that, next enzyme that is required the POD, that is the peroxidase enzyme. So D-gluconic acids plus generally that hydrogen peroxides converted to in the presence of enzyme POD, that is the peroxidase, converted into one dye that is called quinonimine dye. So this is the dye and water molecules, and this is the red color. So this is the principle of GOD-POD method. First we need the glucose oxidase enzyme, next peroxidase enzyme. So you can see one more time, glucose is oxidized in the presence of enzyme generally GOD, and converted into D-gluconic acids and hydrogen peroxides. Further, these hydrogen peroxides in the presence of enzyme peroxidase combined with gluconic acids and produce the red color compound, that is the quinonimine dye. The intensity of this color, this red color dye, is the directly proportional to the concentration of glucose in the given sample. So this is the principle of this test. Now what is the reagents required? So we require generally your first enzyme reagents, buffer solution. We also require buffer solution, standard solution, and the standard is the 100 milligram per deciliter. Clear? So this is already present in the enzymatic method. So we require the generally enzyme reagents, standard and buffer. So this is the requirements. Now what is the procedure? Now we come to next point, that is the what is the procedure of this method. So procedure, we have to take 3 test tube and mark generally blank, standard and test. So we have to take the 3 test tube and that mask generally, that is the blank, standard and test, T for test. So this is the 3 test tube and already we marked the generally blank, standard and test. B for blank, S for standard and T for represent here test. After that, what is the method? So we take generally first enzyme reagents. We take the generally enzyme reagents 1 ml in each test tube. 1 ml each test tube. So this is the first method. We have to take enzyme reagents in equal amounts in all the 3 test tubes. That is the blank, standard and test. After that, we have to add generally distilled water, 10 microliter on the only blank test tube, 10 microliter on the only blank test tube. Then we have to add standard, already given in the this sheet, standard in the only standard test tube. How much? That is again 10 microliter. And finally you have to take generally test, that is the sample, and we have to take 10 microliter in the test tube of this tube. Clear? So this is the method. First you have to mark 3 test tube, blank, standard and test. After that you have to take enzyme reagents equal amount, that is the 1 ml in each the test tube. Means you have to add 1 ml blank, 1 ml again standard and 1 ml again you have to add in the test tube. Then distilled water you have to add only blank test tube. How much? That is a 10 microliter. Then you have to take the standard solution, that is a 10 microliter in which test tube? Standard test tube. And finally you have to take the test or sample solution and add only in the test tube. T test tube. Now this is the method. After that, what is the next method? After that you have to make mix properly all the test tube, and incubation period is the, what is the incubation period? That is the 15 minutes. 15 minutes is the incubation period for 15 minutes is the incubation period. This is the mixing the solution all and incubate the 15 minutes. And after that you have to measure the concentration of this, means you have to take the OD at the 520 nanometer by the colorimeter, by the method, that is the colorimeter. So this is the method. You have to take all the properly solution in all the test tube, mix properly. Incubation period is the 15 minutes, and you have to take OD of standard, OD of test against the blank at the 520 nanometer by the colorimeter. This is the method. Clear? Now next one is the, what is the calculation of these experiments? So calculation is the after 15 minutes we will take the OD, and how can you calculate OD of test upon OD of standard multiply by concentration of standard solution, and that is already mentioned, that is the 100 milligram per deciliter. So this is the formula, this is the calculation. We have to take OD of standard, OD of test against the blank and multiply by 100 milligram per deciliter, that is the concentration of standard. Clear? So this is the formula, and we will apply methods. Now we will get the results. After calculation we will show you what is the results. Before results, now we will talk about the what is the clinical interpretation of this glucose determination, means what is the hyperglycemia and what is the hypoglycemia causes. So if sample is showing normal results, okay, and if value is coming, suppose normal range of the blood glucose level is the generally 60 to 100 milligram per deciliter. This is the normal range. Clear? And if value is coming more than 100, that is called hyperglycemia solution. Not 60, that is the 70 to 100 milligram per deciliter. And if value is coming less than 70, that sample is called hypoglycemia sample, hypoglycemia result. So what is the causes of hyperglycemia and what is the causes of hypoglycemia, we will discuss in the clinical interpretation sides. So first is the hyperglycemia. Hyperglycemia causes. So hyperglycemia means more than 100. So first cause is the DM. Diabetes mellitus is the first cause of the hyperglycemia. Next cause is the your stress. Stress is the next cause of the hyperglycemia. Next, your enlargement of pancreas. Enlargement of pancreas. Next cause is the Cushing syndrome. Cushing syndrome increase the synthesis of hormone, that is the cortisol, and finally hyperthyroidism. These are the 5 main causes of the hyperthyroidism. These are the 5 causes of the hyperglycemia. So first you can see diabetes mellitus means hyperglycemia means more than 100. If sample is coming more than 100, that is the cause DM. And DM is the metabolic disease that affects the carbohydrates, lipids and protein and electrolytes metabolism, increase the blood glucose level, that is the DM. Stress is the main cause again for hyperglycemia sample. Enlargement of pancreas, because beta cells of cells secrete the insulin and insulin control the diabetes mellitus. So enlargement of pancreas. Cushing syndrome increase the cortisol hormones and that increase the blood glucose level, and finally hyperthyroidism increase the level of T3 T4 hormone. So these are the causes of hyperglycemia. Another side you can see what is the causes of hypoglycemia sample. Hypoglycemia means below the 70 milligram per deciliter if sample is coming, value is coming, that is the hypoglycemia sample. So hypoglycemia cause is the generally over medication with insulin. First, over medication with insulin. We can explain here properly. Over medication with insulin, anti-diabetic generally. Hypoglycemia causes. Next one is the liver failure. kidney failure, pituitary gland, and finally uses of drugs like beta blocker drugs. So these are the causes of hypoglycemia solution. Means if sample or test result is coming below the 70 milligram per deciliter, that sample is called hypoglycemia, that result is the hypoglycemia. So over medication with insulin during the antidiabetic time, failure of liver, failure of kidney, disorder of pituitary glands, and drugs like beta blocker, these are the causes of the hypoglycemia. So this is complete demonstration for determination of blood glucose level by GOT-POT method. Now I will show you how to handle the procedure properly and how to find out OD of test and OD of standard by the colorimeter. So according to procedure, now I have taken the 3 test tube and we have to mark generally and this test tube blank. This is the B blank. Now standard test tube, yes, and third one is the test. So this is the 3 test tube and marked properly. After that, what is the method? Already I explained you, already I taught you. So method is then that we have to take 1 ml reagents in each the test tube. So this is the enzyme reagents, already provided in the kit. So we have to take 1 ml in each the test tube. So this is the pipette, 1 ml pipettes. So this is the 1 ml solution, 1 ml enzyme reagents. We have added already in blank. Again we have to take 1 ml, add in the next test tube. Standard. Finally last test tube tells we have to add test tubes 1 ml. So this is the 1 ml we have added in the test tube. So this is the first procedure. After that, what is the next procedure? By micropipette we have to take 10 microliter distilled water and we have to add distilled water only in the blank test tube. So this is the tips. We have to take properly without any contamination. Iska box. So we have to take 10 microliter distilled water. This is already fixed 10 microliter. We can fix this micropipette 10 to 100 microliter. So this is a 10 microliter, very small quantities. We have to add the blank test tube. This is the blank. We have to add properly in the blank test tube. So we have added 10 microliter, mix properly. This is the blank. After that we have to take standard solution and add in the standard test tube. So this is the standard solution. Now we have taken 10 microliter. This is again very little quantities and we have to add the standard test tube. This is the standard. Okay. So we have to put properly and this is the 10 microliter standard solution. Now mix properly. This is the mixing. We have to mix properly. And incubation period is the 15 minutes. Now last is the, we have to take the sample. This is the blood sample, ठीक है ना, but we have made it by generally our lab, ठीक है ना, solution. So we have to take 10 microliter again. This is the 10 microliter and this is the sample reagents, sample test. And this is the test T. So we have add properly again 10 microliter in the test tube T. Mix properly. And now incubation period is the 15 minutes. So after 15 minutes, generally we have to take the optical density by the colorimeter. So this is the colorimeter instruments, ठीक है ना? You can see here properly, please. Come on, थोड़ा जीते हैं. This is the 520 nanometer. We can set this nanometer according to requirements like 490 nanometer. ठीक है ना, 520 nanometer, 540. So this is the filter and this is the wavelength of this colorimeter. So colorimeter generally that is the work on the Beers-Lambert's law. So we have to take the optical density by this colorimeter, and before taking optical density we have to set the 0. Optical density हमें कितना set करना है? 0 set करना है, ठीक है ना? So we can set here 0, like you can see. This is the 0. So before any readings, ठीक है ना, like we have to take OD of standard, OD of test after the 15 minutes, we have to set this 0 optical density. And against blank, we have to take the OD of standard and OD of test and calculate according to the formula, that is the blood glucose level is equal to OD of test upon OD of standard multiplied by 100 milligram per deciliter. That is the formula. So after 15 minutes we will take the OD, ठीक है ना? So now we can wait the 15 minutes. And this is the colorimeter cuvettes. So by this cuvette we have to take the generally OD. So this is the 0. This is the, now we have set this properly. So this is the colorimeter instruments, and this colorimeter instruments work on the Beers-Lambert's law, ठीक है ना? So what is the generally OD of generally glucose samples, ठीक है ना? We calculate that after the readings. So intensity of the color is directly proportional to the concentration of given sample. That is the main method. Clear? So after 15 minutes we will take the readings. You can see after 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, now I am going to take the reading. This is the blank. So we have to set the generally this 0 by blank. So now you can see here this is showing a 0.07 minus 0.07. So we have to set this colorimeter on the 0. Clear? So this is the blank. You can see set by these button, fine button, and now you can see this is the showing the 0. Clear? So now this is the completely set, and now we have to take the reading of test and reading of standard. So this is a blank solution. Okay, now you can wash this test tube by the distilled water. One time we have to wash properly by distilled water. So this is the distilled water solution. Distilled water. wash properly and properly dry. This cuvette should be properly dry. Clear? So now it is dry. Now we have to take the reading of test. So this is the test. And now you can take the OD of test. So OD of test is showing here 0.26. So OD is showing 0.26 of test sample. Clear? So what is the you can write here test key OD. What is the 0.26? This is the formula. How can you calculate the glucose? OD of test upon OD of standard multiply by standard concentration, that is 100 mg per deciliter. So OD of test is coming 0.26. After that, now we have to take the generally reading of standard. So again we have to wash this one by distilled water. Required to washing. So this is the wash, and after that we have to dry the cuvette properly without any contamination. So we have to dry this cuvette by tissue paper. Now we have to take the reading of standard. So this is a standard solution. This is the standard solution, and now again that is showing 0, 0. So now we have to take the reading optical density of standard. So you can see here that is the showing here 0.28. 0.28 is coming optical density of the standard. Okay. So this is the method 0.28. So 0.28 is the optical density of standard. Now we have to calculate proper this method for the determination of blood glucose level by GOD-POD method. So you can calculate 0.26 multiply by 0.28 divided by 0.28 multiply by 100. So value is coming 92.85 milligram per deciliter. So this is the final